Hello and welcome everybody to Howdy Partner, our weekly Twitch series hosted live here on the AWS Twitch channel. So every week we use these 1.5 to 2 hours to showcase our amazing partners in the AWS Partner Network and the innovative solutions that they build on AWS. Now, who am I? My name is Jerry Tejada, and I'm an AWS Partner Solutions Architect. A big part of my job is, reviewing partner architectures, doing technical validations on those architectures, and making sure the best practices are being followed. And today, the amazing community of partners and customers we have here at AWS is the reason for this show. It's a 2-hour showcase, and we're really excited. Joining me here today is my fellow partner SA, Ahsan. Ahsan, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm also a partner SA working with Jerry on his team, and this is Jerry and I's second time co-hosting together, slowly getting that experience with Howdy Partners, and definitely looking forward to see what this partner today is bringing us.
Definitely. And before we get into the partner that we have on today's show, I want to know where everyone's tuning in from. So I myself am in New York. Ahsan is also in New York. So please use the chat and tell us where you're tuning in from today. We get all kinds of locations. Sometimes people tune in from Europe, even APJ region. So I do love seeing where everyone's at. But we'll wait for those to roll in. Don't be shy. Please use the chat, not only for this here, but also to ask questions throughout the show. We really want this to be interactive. We don't just want to talk to you for 2 hours. So fire out any questions that you have at any time, and we'll ask them live here on the show. Okay, that's enough of us. You know who we are. Now let's talk about today's guest, who we're very excited to have on the show, and that is Bundle AR, ladies and gentlemen. So on today's episode, our partners at Bundle AR will show us how to create augmented reality experiences using no code. So super exciting. I myself am in the spatial computing technical field community. It's really a growing domain here at AWS, not only handling complex 3D data, but also creating these experiences. And the amazing partners like Bundle AR are making that a lot easier to do on top of AWS. But okay, that's enough of us. Let's bring in our partners at Bundle AR. How are you guys doing? Zach, John, Lewis, how's it going?
Oh, it is a great day. It's great to be with you. We're based in Chicago. It's a beautiful summer day here, and looking forward to our conversation with you today.
Fantastic.
Doing great. Excited for Lewis to show off the platform for us and for you guys to see just how easy it is to create augmented reality. My name is Zach Martin. I'm the CEO at Bundle AR, and I'll be here to fill in any gaps and answer any questions that might come up. So looking forward to our presentation here.
And hello, everyone. Lewis Gardner, CTO co-founder of Bundle AR. Really excited to walk you guys through a lot of demos. We got some really cool stuff cooked up for you, and we're going to walk you through first a augmented reality experience that we created less than 24 hours ago. And we're going to show you then how to recreate it in a matter of minutes. We're going to walk you through the whole process from going from creating augmented reality to demoing it on your mobile devices or headsets, and really excited to do so.
Super exciting. I love augmented reality, and I love that it's picking up, both at the just regular consumer level, but also at the enterprise level too. So super excited to see, how easy it is. The no code thing is big, because I think, spatial experiences are inherently complex. And I think, making it as easy as possible, especially with no code is super exciting. So yeah, really looking forward to this demo.
Well, thank you. I'm just going to give a quick little background, Jerry. to the participants today. Bundle AR is based in Chicago. We had our roots out of a place called 1871, which is Chicago's Center for Technology and Entrepreneurship. And in the summer of 2017, both Google and Apple declared they were all in with augmented reality. And they said the mobile device was going to be the distribution platform. And that was a big moment in time for us as they launched ARKit, ARCore. But what we found out in the market was what you said. It was very hard for people to put together AR experiences and to publish them. So I don't care if you were at the Department of Defense or if you were at Enterprise, almost nobody on the corporate IT staffs had the ability to take advantage of AR that Google and Apple made readily available to all of us. So when we jumped in, the idea was, how could we build this no-code augmented reality content management system and platform? And we were very fortunate to have some major players kind of give us paid research and development, if you will, anywhere from Google supporting us on a museum project, Arizona State University, on a tour. And so we got a clear understanding what the market was looking for as far as features. So we got very focused on the enterprise side in building out this platform. And then several years ago, somebody said, well, if you talk to the Department of Defense, we absolutely know that the warfighters do not want to read 192-page written Boeing manuals, right? They want immersive, on-demand, mobile solutions when they want it on their device that they've been used to. And they kind of grew up with gaming. They grew up with iPhones and the like. So we became dual purpose. And the Department of Defense gave us many hurdles, challenging ones, such as containerization and also on-premise solutions. So Louis can explain about our platform and how it evolved. But here we are 5-6 years later, having worked with the likes of Microsoft, very proud to be in the AWS marketplace. We'll talk a little bit about what that has meant to us and how you brought us Asian area clients. Louis can talk about that. And a big move for us. Yes, we've always been very solid on mobile devices, but now we're growing into XR wearables. So with that being said, I'll hand it off to Louis, who can kind of walk you through our platform and where we're at today.
Awesome. Thanks, John. So we absolutely want to talk to you a little bit more about some of the things that we've been doing with the Department of Defense. We've had a pretty unique run of it here in Chicago, starting out with a SBIR Phase 1 that was originally with the Space Force. And working with the Space Force on a project in augmented reality was quite interesting, as you can imagine. We started off with doing astronaut rescue, which involved making sure that anyone that was coming back from outer space and splashing down into the ocean from either SpaceX or Boeing or NASA themselves were safe and able to be rescued in a matter of minutes. A process that requires over 250 steps, and trying to simplify that process and also trying to take hundreds of pages of manuals down into a friendly, immersive, mobile augmented reality experience was quite the challenge, but we were up for it, and we successfully accomplished that mission, so much so that led us to a SBIR Phase 2. By that time, the department that was working in the Space Force transitioned into the Air Force. And so our second phase of this contract was working directly with the Air Force to also do astronaut rescue. Now, why am I telling you about these contracts in particular? Because although we can't share with you the actual materials that we developed for the astronaut rescue program with the Department of Defense, what we can do is recreate some of those experiences using Apollo 11 assets that are open source and free to use from the Smithsonian Museum. So thankful for them for providing those assets for us to be able to use and share with you today. So without further ado, I am going to switch from my computer here to my mobile device and start with an augmented reality demo of, again, what we created in a less than 24-hour period to really showcase what's possible with this tool. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my microphone and camera here, but I will do a screen share from this device, and then I'll see you on the other in a moment.
Alrighty, thanks, Lewis. And if I didn't emphasize it before, this is what we do here at Howdy Partner. It is very heavily demo focused. So we see the solution live in action. So yeah, let's jump into it. We'll wait just a second as Lewis gets set up here. Want to pose a question to the audience while we do wait. How many of you out there have utilized augmented reality in some capacity, whether just on a personal level, just using an application, whether on your mobile phone or on a headset, or within your business and professionally? Would love to hear from the audience. So we got one here. Thank you all for using the chat. Definitely don't be shy. Mooney, sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I see you have. L Marble as well. Fantastic. That's great to hear. All right, so it looks like we've added Lewis to the stage here. And it's like we're getting going on this demo.
Hopefully you can hear me here as well.
Yep, loud and clear.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to jump over to the mobile BUNDLAR app that is on iOS and Android. It's also available on headsets, but today I'm going to be streaming from a iOS device. Now, here we are, and just want to make sure, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, well, let's go ahead. So with the Apollo 11 module that we've built, I'm going to, from the home screen here, hit the download bundle button. Okay, and welcome to my living room. Next up, I'm going to tap down here at the bottom bar where it says AR Experiences and launch our main menu. All right, scan the floor really quick and then tap in the center. And here we are, we've got our main menu. Now, when I get a little closer to this, you'll see that we have a couple of options to select an experience, either spacesuit, command module, or control console. Again, just giving a quick recap that this is not content that we've created with Department of Defense. This is something that we've created in the last 24 hours to replicate some of the projects that we have done with Department of Defense for astronaut rescue and recovery. So to start, we're going to do a little intro video. Not sure if you're going to be able to hear the audio or not, but here we are with a actual footage of the Apollo 11 coming back in from outer space and splashing down here into the ocean. Awesome. And if we give it one more second, we should see there's the parachutes deploying and the 3 astronauts on board coming back into Earth's atmosphere. All right, we'll stop that video and jump into our first of 3 experiences. First up is the command module. And here we go. Now we've got the Apollo 11 command module here in my living room. We've got a couple of tap points that we've created. And the first is a button that should allow us to open up the command capsule's hatch. So I'll tap here on the green dot. Awesome. Now we've got the door open and we're ready to rescue these astronauts. I'll tap on this new dot that's appeared. And we have successfully removed the astronaut from the capsule. He has made it out alive and is ready for another mission. All right, now that we've rescued our astronaut, let's take a closer look at the controls that they use to enter Earth's atmosphere. So back to the main menu here, we're going to take a look at the control console. And man, this is an interesting one. So what you're seeing here in my living room is slightly accurate to the fact that, yes, this is the exact command console and flight navigation controls that they utilize to return to Earth. This technology was ahead of its time. But the reason that I'm saying it's slightly inaccurate is that actually, if you were looking at this, you would have been inverted, laying on your back, looking at this up on the ceiling. And wow, what that would have been like to try and navigate this small capsule and all of the various buttons and switches is something else. But what's even more so, something that's hard for me to comprehend, is all of the training manuals and the ways that they taught these astronauts how to use this massively complex machine with over 1,000 buttons and switches. And back in the day, they had paper, diagrams, images, and teachers. And the teachers were the same people that built these machines. Today, we have augmented reality, and augmented reality can make trying to teach someone how to utilize a massively complex machine much easier. So you're going to see here, when I tap the green dot, now we've expanded that small little computer on board. This is that notoriously famous computer that had little to no memory on board, but still managed to get them safely back home. And now how do we utilize this? Well, all we have to do is, again, tap on the green dots. And here we can see explanations of what we're looking at, which astronauts can use before they launch, while they're in outer space, and when they are returning to Earth's atmosphere to get the information they need about the specific controls that they're working with and how to use them at moment's notice. This is something, if you can imagine, the thousands of pages of manuals that were required to understand how these technologies work. Instead, all you need is a mobile device in your pocket. Awesome. All right, so shout out to James Smith. Thank you for helping me out with this one. Again, this was all created in less than a 24-hour period, and he was instrumental in helping out with this wonderful experience. I'm going to jump back out to the main menu.
Lewis,
show you the last one here. One of our other missions while working with the Department of Defense was to make sure that once the astronauts were rescued from the capsules, that then the instructors and personnel that were out there doing the rescue operation knew how to safely extract those astronauts out of the capsule and how to also safely remove the astronauts from those massively complex spacesuits that they're wearing. So this will be another oversimplification from the actual project that we did with the Department of Defense, but still incredibly cool. This, again, is the actual Apollo 11 spacesuit. We're going to go ahead and tap the top here and toggle on a couple of key points and reminders of the various objects that are on this spacesuit. Now, if you were using our actual software that's used out in the field, you'd see, again, over 250 steps, and each step-by-step process, what you're looking at, which item to remove first, second, third, fourth, and so on. But this is a great example of something that you can create in a matter of minutes. All right, that is enough of that. I'm going to switch back out to the other device. I'm going to cancel the stream here, and I'll see you in just a moment.
Beautiful. And as Lewis said, these sort of functionalities that we can produce, we built the content management system you'll see in a second from Lewis, where we're able to build for headsets, iOS, Android. So we really want to make sure that we're able to deliver on multiple avenues to your needs. Every need's a little different. We have one client who is using headsets for their cook staff because they need their hands free, and they're using Androids and iOS for their regular staff, their front of house staff, because they can use a phone and a phone or a tablet to get the information they need. So we want to make sure that we're able to deliver for each client based on their needs. And the CMS you're going to see here in a minute that Lewis has built is really going to show just how easy it is to deliver those concepts.
Thanks for that, Zach. And on the topic of delivering on different needs for different customers, we have a question in the chat from 3D Chef. Quick pause, by the way, amazing name, 3D Chef, and very, very fitting for the spatial show we've got going on. But 3D Chef asks, I'd like to know what's the fidelity that you can achieve for movie purposes, including lighting.
Love it. So in our demo that you just saw there, we absolutely selected the worst video to demonstrate the fidelity capabilities, as that video was shot many decades ago. But we can achieve up to 4K resolution. We can also do a couple of other interesting tricks, as well as green screen, so that you can remove the background of your video if you're doing a live stream. Kind of similar to, if you recall, a few years back when, who was it? Justin Timberlake did the Super Bowl, and he added a hologram that you could place into your living room. He achieved that with a green screen, and we've replicated that technology down to a T. And absolutely can walk you through a little bit more about what's possible with video and the fidelity that can be achieved as we will transition into the web application. It's a great question.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lewis. We also have another question from L Marble. What kind of HUD are you using?
Love it. Great question. So we've got a couple that we support today and a couple that we are working on support for now. Right now, we mainly have our clientele on iOS and Android devices, of course, not a head-mounted display. The head-mounted displays that we do support today are the Vuzix headset and the HoloLens 2. We are also working on the Meta Quest Pro and Quest 3, as well as the Apple Vision Pro, and a few other headsets that are coming out soon. Stay tuned there.
Okay, I'll hold off on that then.
Very cool. Working
Stay
on
tuned.
things that aren't even out yet.
Exactly right.
Gotta stay.
Wait, Lewis, I had a question too. Like, especially in a training type of context, have you guys thought about maybe combining with AI, especially since you're dealing with so much documentation, and that's also another thing that's growing, and we know it's going to be a big thing everyone's going to consider in the future, next couple of years?
It's a great question. Absolutely. And I think that we are probably in one of the most interesting positions in the augmented reality market to be working with AI, because we have compiled over the last 6 years of operating this company a massive data set of augmented reality experiences that we've created internally for our own purposes of testing, as well as for clientele that we've partnered with that have agreed to allow us to utilize those augmented reality experiences in a training data set situation. And so that massive amount of data that we have, that essentially boils down to what makes a good augmented reality training experience, can be easily ingested by an AI that is capable of creating that augmented reality experience without having all of the lovely input that I'm about to walk you through on our web application. So yes, there is a clear way that augmented reality and artificial intelligence can be combined in unison and to achieve something that today we never thought would be possible with the augmented reality headsets that we have available. But as I mentioned, new headsets are coming out soon, and those headsets will be fully AI prepared edge computing devices that can run large language models on those devices without having to require offloading onto the cloud. Is going to be a game changer for augmented reality. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. Definitely did. Exciting stuff.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen unless there's any other questions. Happy to run through.
So we did have another question, I guess, before
let's do
we
it.
jump in. And so it says, this is also from 3D Chef. Can you do rigid body dynamics and fluid simulations and lighting, which are crucial and critical for the stories that some customers may want to do?
It's a great question. So the way that I like to answer questions regarding physics-based applications is that we are a low-code, no-code training platform for helping people that don't know how to produce objects that require a lot of code and physics-based knowledge to achieve. Instead, we are trying to make it as easy as possible to drag and drop content, and you're about to see that on the web application. To answer your question, no, we do not do fluid dynamics or what was the other one? Simulations. We are not a physics-based engine is the answer to that question. We are a training environment in which you can achieve getting many, many steps of training data into augmented reality in the exact same way that you're used to creating a PowerPoint or slide deck, Google Slides, etc. So no, to answer that question.
Awesome. Thank you, Lewis.
We leave that one to the game engines that we know and love, Unreal and Unity, and others out there too. Cool. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Great. And loving the participation from the chat. Please keep them coming. Let's see it.
Agreed. All right, here we go. Share screen. You should see that now.
Yep, there it is. Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, welcome to the BUNDLAR CMS dashboard. You're seeing a brand new account that we created for the purposes of this demo, and walk you through it really quick. At the top, you're seeing a quick summary of some of the interactions that we've already had from users using our augmented reality application, so that you can see in real time how many users have downloaded your app and have started rendering those training modules, as well as the number of interactions, how many times people have tapped through those various buttons that you saw, how many times they've played a video, paused a video, etc. Okay, the next thing that you're seeing down here below is a bundle. This is the bundle that we created for the demo you just saw, but instead of showing you the one we've created already, I want to walk you through creating one from scratch. So we're going to hit Create New. And then we'll go ahead and type in a name, and let's do Twitch demo. Okay, now we have a brand new empty bundle, and we can start creating our experiences. And to do that, I'll go ahead and hit the Create Experience button. We have a couple of different types of experiences that you can create. The main one that we recommend is markerless experiences, which is allowing you to place content on floors or vertical surfaces, horizontal or vertical surfaces. So we'll go ahead and select that one, and let's just call this main menu. Okay, and now we've entered the 3D environment. Again, this is all happening on the web, and this is going to allow us to start creating our augmented reality experience with 3D content, and whether that's 3D objects or 2D objects, images, audio, video, you name it. So we'll hit Edit Experience, and then we'll hit this button here, Add Asset. You'll see a couple of those assets types that I just mentioned. 3D model, most popular. We've also got audio buttons that add some interactivity that you saw in my demo. Images, labels, video, and media players. We'll walk through a couple of those, but let's start with an image. For our main menu, we're going to use a simple image. Now, there, I'm going to search. This is what you're seeing here in this pop-up is our media library. This allows you to see all of the various assets that you've uploaded previously, whether it's images, audio, video, 3D models, and select ones that you've already uploaded if you don't want to add a new file yourself. So we will select the main menu here.
Well, Lewis, is there, in that media library, does it start off blank, or is there maybe some like starter media for people to get going? Just curious.
A great question as well. We like to let you bring your content. We actually integrate with a couple of different digital asset managers. So for enterprise companies, often if you're working with proprietary information, you're going to have your enterprise partner have their digital asset management system that they don't want to upload their content to your environment. So because they don't want that information to be hosted by anyone but themselves and responsible for their own security for it. So that is where we encourage people to bring in their own assets that exist already. It does start off empty. But we can also point you to a lot of the great content out there on the web. As I mentioned, shout out to the Smithsonian Museum for providing all of those 3D models that you saw there at the very beginning of the demo out for the public to utilize in demos as the one we just created. There's a lot of great content out there in the 3D world, and that's something we like to help our customers out with as well to find the best fit.
Yeah, on top of that, some of our clients find that they don't need 3D. For example, you can get the same training materials done in 2D as well, or using different materials. For example, the Phoenix Children's Hospital, they train 20,000 nurses. It's crazy amount of nurses they train over there. But they use for a code card, for example, they just took pictures of all 4 sides. Now you could get a developer to put together a 3D model and do it easily that way. They said, we don't need that. We just need the pictures. You press the button that opens up the cart and you see what's inside and you get your training materials there. So there's many ways that you can create this content. If you don't have 3D, 3D is great and wonderful in AR, but you can find ways around it as well. We try to think of our bundles as a single source of knowledge, and how that knowledge is delivered is the beauty of AR. It can be delivered in any number of ways. So anyway, continue, Lewis.
Thank you, Zach. And feel free, everyone, jump in and interject any questions that you have. Love it. Keep them coming. There have been some great ones so far. So next up, we're going to go ahead and create this experience for the command console. And I will go ahead and add in a 3D model that we've uploaded as well. So let's select one from here. We've got the command module capsule. And we'll give that a moment to upload. And just like that, now we've got our 3D asset here to manipulate. And so there's a couple of tools that you're seeing here on the left side. We've got already selected our select asset mode, so you can click on any assets and start editing them. In addition to that, if you've got an asset selected, we can switch through and go ahead and make modifications to it. So we've got various options here on the sidebar. You can set the materials, transparency, the layers, and modify the position, rotation, and scale. Awesome. I like where we're at with this, so I'm going to go ahead and add another asset. Let's go in here to a 3D model and pick a spacesuit. Awesome. All right, you know what? So while we were talking about the media library earlier, I realized I didn't connect the main menu to this experience. So let's go back and click on our main menu. Okay, and I'm going to select the spacesuit here. And let's just make this connect to that experience that we just created with the command module. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and go to Add Asset and Button, and then View Experience. And from this dropdown, we're going to select that command console experience that we just created. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to select a button to use. Let's see if there's a nice tap target button. There we go. Okay, we've got our asset here. Let's go ahead and enable transparency on this PNG. And let's bring the scale down. The controls that you're seeing here are pretty much exactly the same as Unreal Engine if you're familiar with editing in 3D space. And if not, it's very easy to pick up. Again, if you worked with creating PowerPoints, it's the exact same content. Drag, drop content exactly where you want it, and you go from there. Okay, I'm starting to like where I've got this button, so I'm going to hit Save. And we're going to go back to our other experience.
Lewis, I had a question. Are multiple people able to work on the same experiences?
That they are. We've got the capacity to bring in many different users in an organization. And right now, if you've got more than one person editing assets, if you're familiar with other environments in which you can collaborate, such as I'm going to use Miro as an example, or other environments too, I think on Google and elsewhere. You can go ahead and take these objects and start editing them the way that you want them. Your other collaborators will be able to see that you're working on this experience, and they will not allow them to make modifications while you're actually editing. But you can set those users to be viewers or to be editors so that they do have that ability to edit as well. Otherwise, we can show you that too. You'll actually see the profile pictures of the people that pop in as they're working with you. Awesome. Let me scale this down. Thank you for asking. That's a great question. Okay, and let's bring it down just a little bit further. All right. And I'm starting to like where our astronaut is located here. Let's go ahead and place him exactly how he would have been laying inside of this capsule, facing upwards, looking up at the command module that we walked through in our demo. All right, and I like where he's at in there. That's perfect. Makes it easy access for us to pull him back out once he's splashed down in the ocean. All right, I'll hit save. And let's, from there, go ahead and add one more 3D model and select the hatch this time. Awesome. Now we've got this separate asset so that we can make edits to it separate from the module itself. So let's bring this guy down a bit. All right, perfect. And let's bring this out. All right, I like where that's at. And then let's go ahead and bring this down just a little bit more. All right, perfect. So now that we've got this, what we need to do so that we can actually see these changes and interact with it is add another layer. So I'll hit this new layer button, and then I'll take that hatch and add it to the second layer. Okay, now that it's on this layer, it will not appear when we first launch this experience. So I want to have a secondary hatch. Go ahead and duplicate this. Okay, we've got a copy of our hatch, and we're going to call this second one open. All right, and so for this hatch to be open, we'll go ahead and drag this out a little bit, move it to the side as if it is open here on the side of this hatch. Rotate it a little bit, and looks good to me. Now that we've got our second hatch, we'll hide the first one. Oops, this one. Oh, that's capsule, hatch, there we go. Okay, and now that we've got our second hatch, we're going to add a little bit of interactivity to this layer. Let's put this on this here, there we go. And add a third asset for button. This is going to toggle a layer, and it's going to toggle the layer 1. Okay. Now let's select the tap target button. Got a large button again here. Let's go ahead and bring the scale of that guy down. We do also have some helpful tools on the sidebar here for positioning your assets if you have exact units that you want to work with. But for the purposes of this, we'll go ahead and just use the environment here. Okay.
Louis, really quickly on the topic of UI, we've got a bunch of questions in the chat, and I'll start with the first one that came in. What kind of UI components did you use to build the BUNDLAR app? Or did you create components yourself?
Great question. So we actually, back in 2019, were awarded a project to work with the African American Museum, what was it? The Museum of African American History, if I'm not mistaken, that's now been recently renamed the DuSable Museum. Is that correct?
DuSable Museum in Chicago.
There you go. DuSable Museum of African American History, where we had Mayor Harold Washington augmented for a Google grant. And actually, Zach, what was that one again? It was with the Chicago mayor, right?
Yeah, Mayor Harold Washington, correct, yes.
There you go. So why I bring that up is because we were able to create those modules with Google material. And if we're talking about UI UX, that's actually because we got the inspiration and the funding from Google in our very early days, we did want to give them a salute. And so we did utilize a lot of their UI UX materials. Since that time, 6 years ago, that project was our origins. And from that time, we've brought on a much larger team. I'm going to give another shout out to James Smith, who I mentioned earlier, helped me with one of those experiences. He also has created a lot of these UI UX components from scratch. So you will see there's a good amount of design language cues that we get from Google material, but then we start to customize those and to make modifications to them for our own needs. We also like a lot of the tools that are out there for augmented reality UI UX, and one of the ones that we recommend is the Mixed Reality Toolkit. It's a great asset for those of you in the XR space. Has that answered that question?
Yeah, definitely. It was actually a good eye by Schizophrenic Web Developer. Thanks for the question. He did mention, or he or she, sorry, mentioned Google Material UI components. So good eye there. Another quick question before we jump back in. What is the web renderer that you're using? We have a question. Is it Three.js? Is it Babylon? Or maybe one of the other existing ones?
We combine a couple of different tools out there, but at its base, it's WebGL. To achieve a lot of the things that we're seeing here, and then being able to replicate those precisely on a mobile device or headset, we did have to make a lot of custom modifications on top of. But we utilize Babylon.js and in a TypeScript environment in a lot of scenarios, but we also utilize Three.js at its core. We do like a lot of the scene-based components there too. And then we've written a lot of WebGL components from scratch to make sure that we can combine where we need both of those renderers. Great question. Keep them coming.
Awesome. We do have a few more.
Please keep going.
Okay, yeah. Let's. Can you make the experience autosave? I see that there's a history and that you can go back to previous saved. So is there an autosave part of the?
That's a great question. It is not part of it. You know, that's not a bad. That's something that's on our roadmap. But at the same time, we have legacy save requiring you to make those changes, because when you're working in a 3D space, a lot of times you might mess something up, or you might make a change that you regret. It's happened to me many times. And then when you go back, you've gone so far down on a 3D edit that you want to return, but there's no ability to if it's already saved and made those modifications. At the same time, the reason it's not auto-saving is because once you create your augmented reality experience here on our web application, we deploy these changes to a build pipeline in, thanks to shout out to the AWS cloud, to be able to create multiple modules that deploy to multiple different devices. So to save on a lot of the various costs that we go into trying to rebuild these, all of these assets, trying to optimize them and push them out for each type of device using AR Core, AR Kit, AR Foundation, you name it. We do have a legacy save to make sure that you only are rebuilding those assets when you need to. Keeps it optimized up there on the AWS cloud side as well.
And I'll throw on to that is that we definitely do have version control. So for example, if you want to pop him back and just show the duplicate experience or duplicate bundle, and yeah, you'll see here, you can duplicate this experience here. You can also duplicate a bundle, and that allows you to provide save as and allows you to reuse. Like, let's say you have a bundle that you love, but there's minor changes based on like a location. Let's say there's a device, there's a minor change in that location. Just duplicate it, make those minor changes, and publish it. So the duplication feature is amazing. It works for bundles and experiences and assets. So it allows you to really do what you need to do and get those saves in there.
It's a great point. Thank you, Zach.
Awesome. Really quick on that same topic, yeah, we mentioned autosave, but there's another question. Is there an undo redo feature, the great Control-Z that we all lean on very heavily?
So if you're editing a particular asset, there is an undo. We stray away from the redo because once you start making those modifications in the units for scale rotation, it would come in handy. But again, to that build pipeline, we try and reduce the amount of times that it's pushing up that new code and trying to optimize it, which is resource intensive. It's something that we want to add to this platform, and as you can see here, these are great recommendations. We want this to be as usable as possible by people like you, and so keep these feature requests coming too. I know the rest of our team is listening in and taking notes, so stay tuned, and you'll see something like that added in the near future.
Awesome.
You're seeing here an image marker. I want to walk through really quick another type of experience that we create. In that demo that I showed you at the beginning, we did place objects on the floor or on the walls. But we also allow you to upload your own image to track and render on top of, or you can generate one of our custom built image markers that you're seeing here. So that is what I did. I could, for example, also go back in here and select any of the images I've uploaded already. But no, I do want to just generate one. Can regenerate until I like it. Awesome, looks good, and hit continue. Okay, it ran through our computer vision pipeline to ensure that this is something that can be tracked from the perspective of the computer vision program that we're running on mobile devices. And we got a great quality score, so I'm going to hit continue. And why I pause on that, a lot of times if you've got a image that is just one solid color or doesn't have a lot of various features on it, that's going to be something that's hard for a camera to pick up and track those features on. So we do like to have images that are unique and have a lot of different, not necessarily colors, but a lot of different feature points that you can detect easily with a single camera on an augmented reality device. Great, we've got our image here. Now, again, we can add some more assets. I do want to just show you adding a video. We did use this video earlier, and to that question of fidelity, this video was shot many, many years ago, decades ago, and it is, I think it's something like 320p, so it does not speak to the fidelity, but it is the only video that I've uploaded for the demo here. So we do have it, nevertheless, does support any custom size, whether you've got a tall video, vertical video, or horizontal. You can upload it here and play it. I'm not sharing through the stream, but I can scrub through the video as well, jump to the point and see the preview of exactly where we are in the video. Great, I'll pause that and show you there's a bunch of other options that we can add here. One of the ones I mentioned earlier was chroma. So let's say this was a green screen video. All you'd have to do is check this box, select the color, the key color that you're utilizing for your green screen background. And with that, if you've recorded a video of any object or person standing in front of a green screen, once this is rendered in the mobile devices, all you'll see is that person. And it'll, as long as you select the correct key color here, you will not see the green screen in the background. It's a cool effect in augmented reality to have a hologram come and talk to you in your home or out in the field when you're trying to have someone train you how to use a device you've never used before. So that's a great one. Awesome. Go ahead and hit save on this. And I do want to show, as we've not added all of the experiences in that I showed you in that demo, but I do want to at least walk you guys through how easy it is to actually get this out there and onto your device. I'm going to remove this duplicated one that we got. All right, and now that we've got these three simple experiences, I'm going to click on Preview and Publish tab up here in the top right corner. And in this bundle access code, what is a bundle access code? It is a unique alphanumeric string. So if you put in a unique set of characters that you want your users to be able to type in to access this content, you'll do that here. So for this, we'll do the BUNDLAR Twitch demo. We can set this to either public or private, and you can require someone to have an account set up that you also allow to have access to this bundle before they're able to access it. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to keep everything public so that we can actually go and access this on our own phones. So I'm going to hit save. All right, and then I'll hit the publish bundle button. Cool. And so now you're seeing here on the publish bundle side nav, we have 2 buttons available to us. First, we're going to hit build preview. What is preview mode? Well, a lot of times when you're building augmented reality experience for critical training environments, such as the astronaut rescue program, you want to test out your augmented reality experiences before you actually deploy those to the astronauts in the field. So we do have the feature and ability here for you to deploy this and test it out in a preview mode before you send it out to all of your customers who are typing in that same bundle code that we typed in at the beginning, BUNDLAR, which demo I think is what we typed in. So this is going to build in the background, and while we're letting that build in the background, again, this goes up to our cloud build pipeline, and it's going to build out all of the assets required for iOS, Android, and the multiple head-mounted display based applications that are there too. We're going to go back and just take a look at the original one that we created and demoed earlier, just so I can show you the share bundle features. In here, we've got a couple options. Our most popular one is QR code. All you have to do is scan that QR code, and that is going to allow you to access this bundle on our mobile application. Whether you're on Android or iOS, for those of you that are joining in on the stream, feel free. I'll leave this up for a little bit and we can go back to questions, but feel free to scan this QR code. If you don't have the BUNDLAR app already installed on your device, it will take you to the iOS or Android app stores, and you can download the BUNDLAR app from there. Once that's installed, scan that QR code again, and you'll launch into this augmented reality experience that I demoed for you guys just a little bit ago. We allow our customers to download that QR code, export it. We also have options to share via URL. So if you wanted to paste that into a chat or send it in an email, you can do that. Send that in a medium that everyone's used to accessing content from. Just tap on a URL and pull it up on your mobile device.
I do want to. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I do want to throw out there that what's unique about what we offer is that once this is downloaded to your device, you will no longer need the internet to access the augmented reality. So it downloads once to your device, and then it's native to your device, and you'll be able to use it anywhere at any time. So this is why we work well with the DoD, manufacturing, et cetera, field service in particular, because they can still access the content they need to fix their problem instantly and on demand without the internet. So just wanted to throw that out there for you as well.
It's absolutely a key feature, especially if you're out in the middle of the ocean trying to pull some astronauts out of a capsule. That's a great point. Thank you, Zach. Whether you don't need Wi-Fi or cellular connectivity, once you've cached this bundle of content and training materials on your device once, you can access this again at any time you need to.
And on top of that, let's say there is an update. Your phone will search the cloud and go, is there an update or not? If there is, it'll download the new update. If not, it'll go right into the bundle. So we want to make sure that you're always up to date with the newest content.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I've gone ahead and I've downloaded the app, scanned the QR, and I've got the bundle going. So it was super fast. Did that in just a couple minutes.
Yeah,
amazing.
Great. But also on the topic of questions, though, we have a couple in the chat. I think we should handle real quick. So first up from L Marble, if Jerry, you want to pin it, we've got, are you guys on the AWS Marketplace?
That's a great question. We are. We are available on the AWS Marketplace. Proud AWS partner. It's a lot of great opportunities that have come of it. So recommend it to anyone else that is interested in joining the AWS Marketplace on their products as well.
Yeah, let me go ahead and paste in the chat the link to the BUNDLAR AWS Marketplace. Since it's banned and click it, we'll go ahead and share that.
We have a couple of different options. So when you mentioned that, of course, what you're seeing here is our main environment that can be utilized, but we also offer the ability to deploy this as your own containerized version on-prem, So if you want to take the entirety of what we are running here across multiple devices and in the cloud, and take that offline and deploy it, for example, at an enterprise server location, so that you can only access it if you're on your local Wi-Fi network, or if or connected via VPN. Or another example on the government side, if you want to deploy this so that only people at your military installation otherwise can access this information, you can do that utilizing the AWS Marketplace containerized version of the installation, and that will redeploy all of the various APIs and backend services that we have running that I'm demoing on this environment for yourself. So that's quite an interesting use case. We've gotten a lot of interesting requests there, because not everyone wants to store their information in a place that they can't have physical access to it and manage that security themselves. And so, although we pride ourselves in our security practices, of course, at the end of the day, people want to have their own keys, right? And so we give you the ability to do so. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Lewis. And for those just joining, if you're just hopping on now, welcome to Howdy Partner. This is our weekly Twitch series where we do partner showcases. Right now we have Bundle AR showing us how to deploy augmented reality experiences using no code. So thanks for joining.
Appreciate that. Now that we've had the QR code up for a little bit, why don't I go ahead and back out to the dashboard, and I want to show you the analytics page. One of the interesting features of our platform here is that we do offer our customers the ability to have these interactions that I mentioned at the very beginning of this web application walkthrough. You're seeing here a little breakdown summary of the various devices that have connected here. It looks like we've got 5 iOS users that have jumped in since the stream began, and 1 on Android. So look at that. Thank you guys for downloading the app and trying it out. That is fantastic. And you're seeing here we've got 6 unique users that have accessed that QR code and or typed in the Apollo 11 bundle code for this bundle. And 140 renders. What does that mean? I showed you at the very beginning the command module experience, the main menu experience, and spacesuit experience. And last but not least was the controls for the capsule. Each time someone loads in one of those experiences, it'll create a unique render impression. So you can visualize, it looks like people have tapped between multiple experiences 140 times. And again, on interactions, we collect a lot of different touch points. We keep all of that data anonymized, but we do offer, for marketing purposes, someone wants to come in and see, oh wow, this experience, or not only marketing experience, also from training perspective, instructor wants to look at this and say, oh wow, only 6 of my 30 students have actually downloaded the training instructions. We are not ready to fly yet. So it's a great ability to just have a quick summary of the data that is critical to understanding if the people that are supposed to be using your training modules are using those training modules. Interactions that we collect, it's pause video, play video, tap a button, increase the scale of an asset, things like that. Pause audio, play audio, completed the video. Cool. It's definitely one of our more unique features. Once you start building out bundles, you'll see each one of the bundles that you create added here. And as people start creating unique interactions and impressions, you also get those head-mounted displays. So if someone connects from, let's say, a Vuzix headset, we've got a couple of different ones here. We've also got the HoloLens 2 and the Quest Pro, Quest 3. You'll see all of those as a breakdown of what type of headset they connected from. So that's a great use case. Windows devices as well are recorded. So if you connect with a Windows device that has a back-facing camera, you'll see that too. Looks like just Android and iOS for now. We'll go from there. I'll turn it back to you guys. Any other questions?
I do have one personal question. First, I think it's really cool that there's not any added steps to deploy to iOS or Android. Seems like you just hit publish and it worked on both, which I think is really neat. Is there extra steps to run this experience on a headset, or can you just use the same QR code or whatever it is?
It's a great point. A great question. So we are at the mercy of the features that are supported by various headsets. Some headsets, some of you might know that are in the XR space, allow direct raw access to the camera feed for developers to use, and some don't. And there's reasons behind that, right, for privacy concerns and otherwise. And I think one of the examples is the Meta Quest Pro and Meta Quest 3. They do restrict that raw access to the camera feed so that there's no ability for someone, a bad actor, let's say in the government space, to be able to access someone's camera feed and utilize it for invasion of privacy. On the flip side of that, it makes it very difficult for developers to add features such as scanning a QR code. And so although the Meta Quest Pro and Meta Quest 3 do support from the QR code scanner app that you can install on the headset, there is no way to add in that QR code based feature unless you go and develop a custom computer vision solution, which a lot of times these headsets aren't capable of running in addition to rendering 3D content in the fly. So where am I going with this? Well, there is the ability to scan a QR code on most headsets. Again, I mentioned the Vuzix. We love the Vuzix. It's a great headset, easy to use and quick. Put it on your face, QR code scanned, and pull up that content to start training in the field. That is the exact same flow as the iOS and Android devices, and more headsets are coming. I'm sure that eventually they'll open up that raw camera feed in a way that's safe and secure that also allows us to do the same things. But until then, we're at the mercy of the manufacturer.
Yeah, I have read and heard of that being a touchy subject, wanting access to that camera to help build these experiences. You mentioned a phrase there, computer vision, and we did have a computer vision question in the chat. So from Mooney, is the computer vision for image detection using something like Orb or Fast, or is it more like an AI? I have no idea what Orb or Fast is either, so if you could touch on that'd also be awesome for me and for the audience.
Amazing. So when we're looking at the solution that we're providing here, this is a from scratch build. Why did we do a from scratch build? There are a couple of other providers of image recognition and image tracking based technologies, but for companies that are just getting started, or even for larger scale enterprise, especially for large scale enterprise, the costs start to balloon when you want to add in multiple image markers yourself, let alone allowing your own customers to add their image markers in. I won't name any of those explicitly, but those other solutions that exist out there for image marker based recognition and tracking were actually the premise behind and reason why we wanted to develop our own from scratch, because we believe that we shouldn't be charging our customers on a image marker by image marker basis. We want to allow you to jump in here and create as many training modules and create as many training experiences as you possibly can. And so you have the ability to upload a limited number of image markers in this scenario. Now, back to the technologies that are utilized here. We've got iSetFset, if you're familiar with the computer vision side. But a lot of the devices that are accessing this raw image marker feed are using SLAM-based technology, right? So we've developed our own using computer vision, open computer vision, and we've added a couple of other things on top of that we've noticing the technologies that are available on by other providers. And I won't name any by name, but there's a few out there that we've tested that can start to create some lag, can start to create some jittering. If you're familiar, if you've used a lot of augmented reality and you're in the space, you'll know what I mean. As you move your camera, you expect that object that you're rendering on top of an image to stay put. But because the technologies that we were utilizing 6 years ago and still to this day are subject to this issue, that jitter exists. And so we added our own smoothing algorithms. We had some mathematicians behind the scenes making sure that we have the ability to smoothly render as your camera feed moves, so that mobile devices that can only compute and comprehend the number of images at a frame by frame basis, but we're able to smoothly transition objects across as that tracking is detected, as compared to some of the other providers out there that you get that jitter from. So we do pride ourselves on that one. Thank you for asking the question. It's a great one. We absolutely love building out these features in open computer vision and otherwise, because when you can do it from scratch, a lot of times you get exactly what you want out of it, and that's what BUNDLAR was created out of. So love that. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, that was great. I think Mooney also asked another question. Is a product like this ADA compliant for accessibility? I imagine that the 3D portion would be hard to navigate.
That's an awesome question. So from a accessibility perspective, when we were working with the DuSable Museum here in Chicago, we instantly realized that there was a need for that, but there was no one really doing that 60 years ago in the augmented reality space. Since that time, a couple of companies have started to try and do the groundwork to create the documentation that's needed for accessibility in augmented reality. Taking the immense amount of documentation that's out there and standards that are in place for 2D devices, and trying to translate that and fit it into a 3D box does not work one for one. So there are people experimenting with it. We had an interesting opportunity 3 years ago to work with the Microsoft Xbox team. And with that project, they were able to demonstrate augmented reality training in the home when you are setting up your Xbox or Xbox controller. I think it was the Xbox One, Xbox controller, and Xbox headset. And so with that, they wanted to have the groundbreaking work to set up accessibility in augmented reality more so than anyone else had before. So we like to say that we are further ahead in the accessibility market than most in the augmented reality space. The actual standards haven't been set up yet. And I love the topic, though. It's something that once we realized the need, we started doing everything we can and then some to make sure we are creating the accessibility tools that are helpful for people that need it. And so one of the things that we're working on right now that I'll mention that is coming, and I think it's important in the augmented reality space, is voice activation and voice control. It's something that if you can see it and speak to it, then you can control it. And that's something we're adding to our head-mounted displays and iOS and Android applications. It's available right now in our head-mounted display application. It's coming to iOS and Android soon. That's an important one. In addition to that, we'll just mention, because you asked about accessibility features, I'll give a shout out to a cool project I saw at the MIT Hackathon a year or two ago, where someone had developed with the Bose augmented reality headset. And when I say Bose, that's an audio device, not a visual device. But from an accessibility perspective, wild concept that these guys were able to hack together in a matter of hours. Out in Boston, where MIT is located, they've got cold weather most of the year. And so if you are someone that is in need of accessibility features to do things like navigate your environment, and the example that they pitched to be able to get to your home in cold weather, and if you have poor vision, to be able to navigate and find your way back home using strictly audio. We don't really think about audio as much as we do visual when we're talking about immersive technologies, XR, for virtual mixed and augmented reality. But audio reality is definitely a thing, and these guys were able to create pings of audio as you got closer and closer to your front doorstep, so that if you are out there in the cold Boston weather, you can make it back home and survive that cold weather. It's a cool augmented reality use case. I think they well-deserved got an award for that one. But there's people out there. Why I bring it up, there are people out there that are doing breaking the groundwork for being able to set up this accessibility and encourage any feedback that you have along the way. Thank you for asking that one. It's an important one in this space.
Very cool. Love to hear about the audio capabilities. Definitely, makes the experience very cool to interact with when you can control it with voice control. Okay, we have more questions in the chat, but I'd love to get back to the demo. I promise everyone we will get to your questions. We'll definitely leave some time left at the end for Q&A. But yeah, back to the demo. Let's keep the show going.
I would love to, and I know I'm putting this on the spot, but I would love to take a break from the web application and actually turn it back over to John Martin if. And we can give him a couple minutes to get set up, but I think that he has a couple of augmented reality experiences that we've created over the years that are pretty interesting and great examples of how our customers have utilized what I've shown you here on our web application, what they've done to build their own augmented reality training experiences. I think that we were talking through showing some of those, and so I wouldn't mind stopping my screen share when you're ready, John, and to switch over to demo some of those bundles that we've created in the past that are, again, just great testaments to what our customers have done with the creativity tools that we've put in their hands. And we can go from there. In the meantime, until you're ready, John, I'll go back and put up the QR code for anyone else that didn't get a chance to scan it and try it out themselves.
I am all good, Lewis. Is it showing okay now?
I'll stop my screen share.
Yep, we can see it.
Thank you. Well, as Lewis had mentioned, I have prepared a variety of bundles to share with you today so you can see what's been created on the platform. Here's an example. We have permission from the Michigan Air National Guard. They're always trying to make sure they have solutions for their airmen on maintenance and on readiness. This is an example of a generator, which just about every environment or airbase is going to have. And this is their interpretation on the best ways to assist their airmen. So this would be with additional adjustments and checks. Somebody starts and then it proceeds to additional checks and then a self-test. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly so you can just see the variety of different ways people are using the technology. This is where you can have a 3D model. There's lots of acknowledgments and warnings before somebody gets involved. You can open up the lid and then all of a sudden the person can go through step by steps. And it'd be really hard for somebody brand new to not understand how to do the pre-start steps, because you can also add videos and additional specification information to each one of the steps if you choose to. And here's a normal start. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So they really help make it very easy for a new person to understand the equipment. If I go back, you can go back to the main menu and you can see that they've added a video library. And this is amazingly helpful. And I'm going to hit the lubrication choice and I double tap on that. You can see it creates a full screen video takeover. And there is audio playing, of course. You can't hear it because I'm connected through QuickTime Player, but they did a great job with the captioning, which we're big believers in always providing that too, because people could be in noisy environments. So that's one example. I always like to show what we learned from a company called Thermo Fisher Scientific. They're a major player with scientific equipment. And this one is a smaller one that fits nicely on my desk. And they made it very interactive. There's literally about 40 pieces of data available to either employees or their customers. And I'm going to use marker lists and just place this piece of equipment right here on my desktop. And as you can see, we've received a CAD drawing and created a 3D model out of that. And I'm going to hit toggle information. And they did a nice job of numbering the component parts, but then also giving you a menu to the left side. So if you wanted to learn more about the pump, let's say that was your problem, it launches what we call a media player, which is 3-in-1 training. It'll give you a subject matter expert video on the top and step-by-steps in the middle. And then if the person needs to learn or likes to learn by written direction or specifications, there you go. So you got all that instant learning at your fingertips, on-demand, immersive mobile. So they taught us a lot about what we call replica 3D, replica digital twins. They also added a contact specialist or order online. Obviously, for that type of capability, you would need to be having access. I'll show you another one that I thought was pretty well done by one of our global system integrator clients or partners, which is Cognizant. And we work with their digital workforce services team, and they have all sorts of interesting use cases, but they're also very involved with data centers. I would say AWS knows a thing or two about data and storage and the like. But imagine that there's a person out in the field going into a data center and really didn't know much about the various equipment there. So here's a good example of using 2D to create the environment. And this one too, I'm going to just put right here on my desk. And so here's rack 1 and rack 2. So if I go to rack 1, you can see how I can zone in and look if it's a voice server, a patch panel, console monitor, or whatever it might be. And then I have the ability to just click on it. And then I can learn about how to do hot swap. I can do it PSU replacements with videos and step-by-steps and really get into details. This experience has hundreds of data points and specifications, and you can go back and you can go back to the very beginning and go back to another rack and so on. So I just want to let you know you can really get into detail if you'd like.
Yep, and this is a great.
Go ahead. Yeah. I think I want to just touch on that one really quick to walk you through why that one was an important one. Although it is an experience that was entirely created with images and not 3D content, it speaks to the fact that customers and people that know about augmented reality know its power, the power of having that in the palm of your hands, but don't have 3D models and don't have the assets that you would typically think of in an augmented reality space. If you've got images, if you've got existing training materials that you also want to make readily available on a mobile device in augmented reality, there is an ability to do so, and there's a powerful ability to do so, because imagine you're standing in your server room, you're looking at a server rack, and you typically would have either your laptop to have to carry around to keep those training manuals close, or have the actual training manuals provided. Let's say you're looking up IP addresses, things of that nature. Instead, all you have to do is pull out the phone in your pocket and place the augmented reality images right there next to the server that you're servicing. And that's exactly what Cognizant's done. It's a great use case, and it speaks to the fact that you can jump right in if you've got images, audio, video. It's all you need. You don't need 3D models to do augmented reality, and it's a really cool use case. So,
yeah, to your point, Lewis, I think the big key here is on-demand information. You have your on-demand training anywhere at any time, and that's really the key here. 2D, 3D, whatever it might be, that content is readily available where you need it, when you need it.
Thanks, Zach, and thank you, John. John, do you have the another good one for the government space on DoD HIMARS.
Yes. You want to give them a little backdrop there, or I'll do it with you.
Go
Lewis
ahead.
and I were invited by the Department of Defense to go visit Poland to a U.S. Army base, which was the location where a lot of our Bradley tanks and HIMARS rocket launchers and the like are shipped. And the challenge was obviously the Ukrainians were thrilled with this equipment, but they didn't necessarily want to get the equipment with an English 192-page written manual. So the idea was, how could they get immersive on-demand mobile solutions for this wonderful equipment they got, and then how could they also get it within their language? So within short order, we had 4 days before we knew we were going over there, because our DoD specialist said, we're not phoning it in with a Zoom call. We're going to go there. So Lewis and James and team built bundles. And so we had 3D, and then we put hotspots on it with information. But if I go back to the main menu here, we added some videos. I want to show you this one. This one's kind of fun. James created this environment with Lewis, but I'm going to double tap the video. And as you know, when you do that, it turns it into a full screen video takeover. And this is just going to show you the power of this amazing piece of equipment. And then I'm going to jump back in a second here and show you how we put a language switcher on it. And some of our clients are truly dealing with, 100 countries in 24 languages. So I'm going to download the Ukrainian version. And at any rate, I just thought I'd let you know it's super simple to switch over to different languages too. So I thought that would be.
I'll add in on top of that. This is purely created for demonstration purposes, as they were requesting to see our capabilities. And this was another perfect example of something that was created in short notice. As John mentioned, we had about 4 days notice to be able to create content that was relevant to the customer. And in this scenario, we actually built this one on the flight over, and built out with multiple languages, ability to look at a 3D model and understand the content. When we got there, they were mentioning the facts that, yeah, they do not read English in some of these scenarios. They strictly are able to read in their own native languages, right? And so to have the ability to switch that over on short notice was something that came in handy for them.
And Lewis, I wanted to reload and put the last version in there of the great work you guys did. And so here's that example where we had a language switcher, and I'm going to hit that to Ukrainian, and then you get to see the 3D model and all the hotspots come back in the native tongue. So I wanted to reload that and show you the Ukrainian version and the choice. So, and you did that lickety split.
There's another one while we're on the topic of government. I think it's Super Hornets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And that one would be a great one too, as most of our projects have been working with the Air Force, and they have the need for servicing fighter jets and things of that nature. Again, this is going to be demonstration purposes. We create these examples so that you can see what this technology is capable of before you actually start putting information in here that is sensitive. So again, just demonstration purposes. If you want to hit the F-18 Hornet overview.
Yeah.
Nope. And there's also a next section button down there if not.
Yeah, that's on me, Lewis.
It's all good. For the purposes of live demo, yep, there you go. I'm sure you guys are no stranger to that. All sorts of technology that you're demoing here on this channel.
That's how we like it. It's
good.
meant to be super buttoned up. We're doing this live.
Absolutely.
We are scrappy here at Howdy.
Good.
All right, there you go.
Very nice. So just another quick example. A lot of times what these guys need it for when we're working with Air Force, Air National Guard, be able to service aircraft out there on the field. Most people in the Air Force are not actually pilots. Top Gun is misleading. The majority of the work is done here on the ground, and making sure that we can keep people up there in the air. And so to be able to have this type of information when you're out there on the tarmac, where a lot of times you go so far away from the installations and equipment that you don't have Wi-Fi connectivity anymore, and you might not even have cellular connectivity if you're in a remote location. The ability to download these training modules ahead of time and then access them in the field while you're offline is critical. So being able to pull up, even for example, if you're someone that relies on YouTube for a lot of instructional materials to get things done, if you put it here, you can download it once and have access to this one where you need it out there in the field without internet connectivity. So that comes in handy, especially for our Department of Defense contracts.
There's another one, Louis, that I thought was just an idea that, you know, a lot of us, including Zach, had gotten very comfortable with, which was a single source of truth. And I liked what Cognizant had done actually for their own company, where imagine that you're a new employee and they wanted to make it where you could find everything that you need to do your job in a single source. And so they created this Welcome to Cognizant self-service guide. And then you created a dashboard. And, you know, you can just get information about all sorts of things, a variety of links to take you there. Or if you're having troubles with your Windows, you know, how to you know, fix hello screen, whatever. Just a simple idea, but very effective, where as a person, you can go to one place and always know it's going to be current and up to date.
And I'm again going to preface what you just saw there. Well, as I mentioned earlier, you don't need 3D content to be able to do augmented reality. Now, some of you might be sitting there thinking, what's the point of putting 2D in a 3D space? Well, on a mobile device, if all you're trying to utilize is images, audio, and video on a tablet or cell phone, the use case might not be as apparent as it is when you have a headset. And when you've got a headset, being able to place content, images like you were seeing there, what John just showed you from Cognizant, being able to place that in your environment and have it pinned to a location while you're working and using both of your hands, that opens up the possibilities on productivity side in the engineering world and all worlds. Even most recently, I think the food world for chefs and things of that nature to be able to cook while they're also learning how to cook the things that they're cooking. So all sorts of great use cases for 2D content. If you've got it, bring it. We can put that into an augmented reality space and help your customers access it too.
Louis,
sorry, John, real quick. I think that's my surprise of the day, is that you can create a compelling AR experience without any 3D at all, with just solely using 2D images, displays, and all of that. So it's really surprising, but I think seeing here firsthand.
And probably the coolest effect is the green screen that we haven't shown, where it really looks like someone's standing there in there with you. So.
Bring your videos, bring your audio, bring your images. I love it. It's a when our customers realize that too, the realization that you're having, it's definitely, well, wait a second, I can get started today. I have all sorts of images that I can start uploading here and dropping into the real world. And as you're seeing here, again, awesome. There's one great 3D model, and then you're placing information all around it in 2D, and having access to that hands-free is key. Cool. I think we're seeing disaster zone instructions, how to set up a light fixture there. Another great use case if you're offline, you're in a disaster zone, to be able to set up technology at moment's notice, again, without having to lug around a heavy training manual.
Right. And so, Jerry, I'll hand it back to you, but thank you. Hopefully that was helpful.
No, thank you, thank you. And I think we can get some of these questions here that we've got in the chat because there is quite a few. So first up here, how is this platform differentiated from something like Adobe Aero? If you're familiar with Adobe Aero.
Love it. So what we're offering is a environment that can be rendered in a game engine. So unlike Aero, if we're comparing the two, you have the ability to choose your own deployment environment. So if you want your customers to be utilizing Unity because you've already built out content for the Unity game engine, then we can deploy to that engine and render the content on your device in that engine. Same for Unreal Engine. If you're a fan of Unreal, we also can build this content in one place in our build pipeline, and then put that out into any game engine that you require. A lot of times we find with the government that they only want to use, because they've only approved from a security perspective Unreal Engine, or vice versa. Some other departments, they've been around for maybe longer, and they've only done their security audits on Unity, and so they can only use one of those two. And that's where we offer optionality for not only your deployment target, but also the engine that you're rendering that content in. So in addition, being able to utilize this content in head-mounted displays as well as mobile devices. There are a lot of different options out there when it comes to previewing augmented reality content, but to deploy it and then to be able to label it, market it yourself, put your own branding on it, that is what we offer. We can develop your own white label application, so you don't have to send your customers an arrow link. You could send your customers a link to your own URL, your own domain, and then have them be able to access this content there, as opposed to having them go to the Adobe Aero app. There's a few other differentiators, and I know we'd love to talk more if you're interested in trying ours out. If you're already familiar with Adobe Aero, love it. But please get in touch. I think we'll have our information up here at some point as well.
Yeah, perfect timing. I did just drop that link. So there's a link to contact the Bundle AR team. So please do. If you have more questions, want to dive deeper, definitely do so.
Thank you for the question.
All right, next up by KLM RMT. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Lewis, do you guys specifically use private endpoints for on-premises deployments, or do they need to utilize a shared DNS?
It's a good question. So I would probably want to tap on my backend team to actually make sure I answer this question accurately. I don't want to try and answer something that I don't know the answer for certain on. Taking into consideration on the shared domain name server, I would assume, let me put it this way. We've got multiple APIs when you deploy your own on-premise container. And we can manage those for you. And if you have your own security reasons to manage it yourself, then that's something that you have the option to do. And in which case, I believe that you would be able to utilize your own custom configurations on the networking side. We do have various endpoints that you can hit on all of those various APIs. They are private endpoints unless you want access to them, and then we can set up an environment for you where you can access them yourself. Stay tuned. An API is coming. Public API is coming.
Awesome. We love to hear it. So we did talk about accessibility before, but do you have anything in your software that makes it more accessible? I don't know if you want to rehash what we spoke about earlier.
So, and I want to make sure that the question is regarding accessibility. I could take that from an accessibility perspective, or from making it accessible to your own customers. I'll answer it both. The accessibility side, I know we were talking a little bit about The voice commands that we've added into the head-mounted displays, the ability to there's other technologies that are emerging and have been around for a bit that we are exploring and trying to add in more features to, specifically for accessibility, such as eye tracking and things of that nature, to not have to utilize other input types. So there are things that we're working on. It's not there yet, and that are more so for head-mounted displays than they are for mobile devices. I want to, and maybe they'll clarify in the chat, but because I can't see the Twitch feed, and I want to just answer it from the other perspective of how do we make it more accessible. We offer a couple of different ways to share content with the people that you're trying to get that content to. QR codes is one. URLs is another. You can input an email address into our content management system, and that will then shoot out invites to your customers if you want to do it that way. And then in addition to that, we can also allow you to create multiple users on our content management system web application, so that not only can your users access that content from their mobile devices or head-mounted displays, but also from our web application. So we are trying to increase the way that we make this content accessible to our customers and indirectly your customers. And we are going to keep adding things along the way.
Awesome. Thanks for answering both ways there. Hopefully we got that question answered. So next up here, as we keep going with the chat questions. So this HIMAR or HIMAR looks like a digital twin. Is that part of the overall military initiative? And if so, are they providing the models or do you provide those for them?
It's a great question. So you're exactly right. Digital twins is the name of the game these days. So with the HIMARS demo that you saw, we did find that 3D model because we only had short notice. Again, there's a lot of great content out there already that we can just go and access. In addition to that, though, because you ask, we do provide those services. If you do not have 3D models of the content that you're trying to display in augmented reality, we can absolutely create those for you and get those assets for you. We do provide that service. That is something that's, whether it's 2D assets or 3D assets, we can work with you to get you what you need. When you mentioned in the initiative on the Department of Defense side, there's lots of different ways that you can now get content from the real world into the 3D space. And the one that I always recommend, whether it's Department of Defense or enterprise companies, there's a few different scanner apps out there. One that I like and use all the time is, let's see, Polycam. I think it's Polycam. If you search it on iOS or Android app stores, you can use a camera-based device, or if you've got a LiDAR scanner on your phone, LiDAR scanning to walk around a 3D model, scan that 3D model, export it as an FBX or GLB, and import it into our platform. And it's as simple as that. We can, I think most recently we scanned John and put him into a 3D space. So you can really bring any object in. HIMARS, the missile system, all the way to a person. So
yeah. And on top of that, I do want to mention that there's kind of two forms of digital twins. The one you saw where it's kind of the 3D replica version, and that's something we do now. And there's also the live data digital twin. So you're streaming live data into the actual AR, and that's something we're developing right now. So you'll see both of those on the platform in the coming years, whatever it might be. But I just want to be able to kind of the two types of digital twins that we're seeing out there, and we want to nail both of them.
It's a great point. And, you actually reminded me, I want to add one more thing to the digital twin side. Live data, as you mentioned, Zach, the capability of streaming in your own data from IoT devices or otherwise, sensors, whether you're in the government space, or let's say that you run a manufacturing facility and you want to be able to visualize the state in which some of your machines are in. To be able to access that information and then visualize it on a 3D object as a digital twin. If you have webhooks available or real-time databases that you utilize, we can plug into those and access that content allow your customers or you yourself to access that content on top of a 3D object. So that's where, again, servicing equipment, you want to be able to see the diagnostic. You've got tools that already are constantly collecting that information. And with augmented reality, with BUNDLAR, if you have that information already available on a sensor, we can make that information available in augmented reality. It's a great question. Thank you for asking.
That's great. We've still got a couple more questions to go. So the next one asked by Mooney again is, for these US activations, do you have to be on FedRAMP?
That is a great question. There are all sorts of opportunities out there. The budget is large, as everyone already knows, on that space, and so FedRAMP is important. I jumped into the AWS Twitch stream yesterday and noticed that they were there was someone on stream. I don't remember who it was. Maybe you guys do, but someone on stream that was discussing how to deploy a GovCloud instance on AWS. And they did a great demo. That was pretty cool to see. So back to your question, though, do you have to be FedRAMP approved to actually start working on government contracts? No. Does it help for most of them? Yes. The budgets increase as your security compliances increase.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, Lewis has found we found a great way around it with the on-premise containerization, where that is not FedRAMP needed. So for a few different, like a nuclear site and some other things, we're looking at that on-premise solution to get around FedRAMP. FedRAMP, if you aren't aware, is extremely involved and extremely expensive, and until you need it, it's really hard to get. So you do not need to get into the military space without it. If you had to, basically 3 or 4 or 5 companies would get every contract, even though they get the majority of them anyway. But you kind of get the concept there, yeah.
And because you ask on the FedRAMP side, make sure that if you're applying for contracts, find a sponsor, find someone that you can work that massive cost of becoming FedRAMP compliant into your contract, into your budget that you submit when you're working on those contracts.
Yeah, and Mooney, continuing to ask some heavy hitters, also said this has the ability to cross-compile code for both Unreal Engine and Unity. I would think there are licensing concerns with using both as build targets. Is that not an issue?
My apologies. Say it one more time. I was reading the various chats.
Yeah, they were asking about how it has the ability to cross-compile code for both Unreal Engine and Unity, and just concerns about licensing in using both as build targets, and if that's an issue.
Absolutely, that's a great question. Okay, so let's talk about compliance. When we're talking about deploying code from a headless content management system using our web application, that content, as someone had asked earlier about what technologies are we using behind the scenes there, we are creating things from scratch in a WebGL environment. When customers are uploading their data, that data gets stored into a backend database that is able to organize the content until you need it. You deploy that content, and then we have multiple build pipelines that allow you to deploy to one environment or the other. When you're mentioning the difference between Unreal and Unity, a lot of times you'll see that using Unreal Engine assets, there's a big compliance there where if you're using an Unreal Engine asset from the Unreal store, you can only use that asset in the context of Unreal Engine. That is why we encourage everyone to bring in their own assets. We don't allow you to utilize the Unreal Engine asset store assets. And that is where also there are other engines in addition to Unity and Unreal Engine that we are deploying to for the Vuzix headset in particular. Neither Unreal or Unity are utilized in that space. So to answer your question, yes, there is absolutely a way to make sure that you can create content and deploy it to the specific engine that you want to create it in. Making sure that your various applications can load that software at runtime without a compiled version is the key. So again, just making sure that you've got all of your assets in one place and then deploying it to the engine of choice is key. Hopefully that answered your question, and that's a great one. It's something that we had to overcome early on because there are rules and regulations around what you can and can't do with these various engines. And the pricing structure of Unity versus Unreal is also an interesting one. We have our own favorites, and I'm sure that you do too. So a great question. Thank you for that one.
I love it. All right, next up, from KLM RMT, what type of tenancy model do you use? Is there any type of database sharding in place, or what is your data governance policy? We're hitting you with the hard ones here.
All great questions, and this is going to be another one that, although I would like to answer it, but like to try to answer it, I would not want to incorrectly answer it and have my back-end engineers get back to you on that one. If we can keep a record of these, we'll absolutely, if you want to send us an email, I think you got the support questions there. We can get you that answer immediately if you want to send that over via email.
Awesome. Is there a good email to reach out to? Is it the one that I actually don't know if we've shared an email yet.
info@bundlear.com is the best way to make sure we all get pinged for that one. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Okay, let's keep rocking and rolling as we wrap up the Q&A here. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any. One question about data streaming. Do you use something like Apache Spark for distributed data processing, or is it some type of ELT pipeline? And what type of connectors do you support?
It's an interesting question.
They're getting increasingly difficult as we go on. I love to see the ramp up. We've definitely shaked off the nerves, and we're firing away here. I love it.
It's we got 9 minutes. It's not too late for me to ping one of the engineers and get them in here. That being said, do not have the answer on the Apache Spark side. For data streaming, we like GraphQL-based databases, and but that being said, WebSockets, whether it's GraphQL or not, if you've got IoT devices and sensors that are collecting that information, we'll find a way to plug it into our databases. Don't know the specifics on the ELT pipeline, but that is a great question, and we can get that one answered as well if you want to send us that on the support side.
Definitely. Please do reach out to BUNDLAR. I'm sure they can get these questions answered for you all offline. All right. And looks like the last one we have in the chat here. A lot of users don't want to download new apps. Can you deploy to the web? Do you do web-based experiences?
It's a great question. Something we're working on. As a lot of you that are in the XR space know, the standards around WebXR are still being worked out. So do we deploy to the web? As you saw in the render, the way that we approach this one on our web application that you saw in the demo, we can offer you a white label content management system web application in addition to what we offer as a white label mobile application. And so if you are strictly interested in the web deployment side, get in touch, because we have ways that we can get that for you. We have, as you saw, a web application for rendering 3D content. That being said, it's not our main focus. Our main focus has been mostly mobile and head-mounted displays running on engine-based experiences. But also with the 2D content side that you saw, again, if you want to get in touch, feel free. We'd love to talk and show you what we can do.
Yeah, it's definitely something on a roadmap. We've focused on app-based because of our heavily involvement in training and the data that goes with it, and the fact that people want security around it. And WebAR obviously not the greatest. So we that's our focus. But as we move towards more consumer and as we grow as a company, definitely on our roadmap. Oh, and I do want to add that there's a lot of things that we can do that are just not built into the platform. So there's two types of services, right? There's the repeatable right now web AR, or I'm sorry, CMS we have, and then there's custom work we do, and we definitely do that as well. So if there's ideas, I always like to say the best thing about AR is it can be anything. The worst thing about AR is it can be anything. So so feel free to reach out with your thoughts, and we can get back to you on what that would take.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. I think that's it for questions. There's quite a lot of them. You guys did awesome. Thank you to everyone in the chat for asking those questions and keeping this highly interactive. And of course, Lewis, Zach, John, thank you so much. That was a rapid fire of questions, and you were answering them all. So that's great.
Love the interest. Thank you for all the questions. They were great.
Yeah. Definitely. Anything else as we wrap up here? Any last comments or thoughts from the Bundle AR team?
Get in touch. Keep being creative, and would love for you guys to try out our tools. Put that creativity to use. Definitely, I don't know where exactly the information for contact information was posted, but if you can see that on your various channels, please do reach out. We'd love to chat and see what we can do to get you and your customers augmented reality.
Perfect. I did just drop the banner there. Let me paste that into the chat as well, so that it is easily clickable, easy way to contact the Bundle AR team. But I think that's it. We're right at about the 2-hour mark here. Bundle AR, thank you so much for being on the show. It was an awesome demo and great to see it live. Not only the end product, but also how to publish these experiences super easily. So thank you so much for being on the show today. And to the audience, thank you for tuning in and for being highly interactive. This is definitely some of the most comments and questions I've seen, and it's great to see. So thank you so much, and we'll be here again next week, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having us. Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Everyone's
Cheers, everyone. See ya.